Good evening and welcome to our first in a series of Aero South Africa webinars. My name is Neil Piper, the Head of Content for Messi Frankfurt, South Africa, and I will be one of your hosts today. It gives me great pleasure now to introduce my colleague, Annelie Reynolds, the Show Director of Aero South Africa, to welcome you and to give you a short introduction into Aero South Africa. Welcome, Annelie.
Thank you for the introduction, Neil. Good evening, everyone. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit the world and we sadly had to cancel this year's event, the Aero South Africa team researched ways to keep the general aviation industry connected during these unprecedented times. Tonight, I am extremely proud of what our team has put together as we launch the Aero South Africa virtual marketplace tomorrow at 12 noon. The platform is equipped with intelligent matchmaking capabilities to assist exhibitors and visitors to meet, build new connections and leads, and even set up one-on-one meetings. The virtual booths are customizable and exhibitors can update their booths with new information and products where necessary. This marketplace will be live for 12 months and it will be updated regularly with relevant general aviation content. We will also load all our webinars we host onto this platform for visitors to view on demand. Tonight, I want to thank each and every exhibitor that have already signed up, as well as our endorsing and media partners of the platform. I also want to give a special thank you to the Aero Club of South Africa and the team from Safety First Aviator for all the hard work in assisting to put together tonight's webinar to celebrate the launch of this marketplace. If you are interested in booking a virtual booth for your company, I will assist with more details. You can leave your email address in the Zoom chat function if you want to receive more information on the marketplace. Now, over back to you, Neil.
Thank you, Annelie. That was a fantastic introduction. And I think it just lets people know what we're up to and the exciting things that we're doing around Aero South Africa. It is now my pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce Frans Schmidt, who will moderate the session today. Frans is the founder and MD of Pilot Insure, a specialist in boutique advice firm focusing on investments and risk cover for pilots. He's a big supporter of general aviation, has participated in competition flying, is a SFA board member, and has a lifelong passion for aviation, has a finger on the pulse across all facets of the aviation sector, and over a decade in the financial services field. He's uniquely positioned to help form insights into general aviation. Frans, over to you.
Neil, good evening, and good evening to everyone watching us, listening to us all over the world, being at home nice, cuddly and snug with a fireplace, in a hotel somewhere. It's great to have you guys here with us, and we are super excited to launch the very first Safety First Aviator campaign of 2020. Now, you guys would notice everything's a bit different for all of us. Yes, COVID, we've spoken about COVID 300,000 times on different things, different platforms. But tonight's really about talking to you about what we're doing differently, much like the Aero SA guys needing to redesign all their ideas and marketing and initiatives with their amazing online platform. I've had some time to go through it. It looks really great, guys. Good luck with your efforts there. So Safety First Aviator. Tonight's about an introduction to Safety First Aviator, what the idea is, what we're going to be doing, rolling out going forward. We will be introducing you to all our speakers as our events progress throughout the year and well into next year. We will be changing some speakers along the way as we feel necessary to keep it more current. And that's also really what's nice about our new platform, having everything online, as we can keep it as current as possible, and we can talk about real events taking place every single day on an ongoing basis. So really being a bit more in touch with you guys, And talking about being in touch with you guys, please, the comment section or chat box, it's open. We would love to have it, a bit of a conversation with you as well. As we progress and you have questions you want to ask, please ask them. We will be fielding the questions towards the end, but we'd love to reach out, get to know you guys a bit better and answer some of your questions. So the speakers we have lined up is absolutely amazing. It's really the best of the best that we have in aviation in South Africa locally. There's a list of all our speakers. We've got Kobus, Cole, Saintjie, Damon, Lauren, and Neil DeLange coming in at the end. Now, just a word of warning, Lauren has been having a little bit of issues with internet down in Cape Town. I think the wind's too hectic or she's really close to the mountain. Either way, might be the red wine. Lauren, I'm going to say it's the wind, just to help you out, benefit of the doubt. So let's get started. You guys didn't tune in to listen to me. Let's run in and jump in with Kobus Turin. Now, Kobus sent me what is probably one of the most amazing CVs I've seen in a very long time. And I'm going to be talking to you guys a bit about Kobus' background. And then Kobus, as soon as I'm done, jump in, tell us all about what this campaign is all about, what you're envisioning, where we've come from, where we're going, and we'd love to hear, your vision with all of this. So Kobus joined the Air Force in '74, and after completing training on the Harvards and IMPs and a BM degree, he also did 168 combat missions and received the Air Force Cross. As a pilot and a pilot attack instructor, and completed the senior command and staff course to become the officer commanding 2nd Squadron, or the Flying Cheetahs. He completed his Air Force career as a colonel with a total of 4,500 hours, of which 2,000 on supersonic types. Joined the South African Airways in '99 as an accident investigator before being appointed as a flight safety manager, as a CRM facilitator, and in 2004 commenced flying on the 738, the Airbus 330 and 340, till retirement in February 2019, so just the other day, with a total of 12,000 flying hours. So really impressive CV. Then joined Airline Pilots Association in 2015 as the chairman of the Accident Analysis and Prevention Committee, and since 2019 as a technical director as well. Representing ALPA on the National Safety First Aviator campaign since 2016, whilst now freelancing as an aviation safety SMS CRM facilitator and advisor. So now you guys understand why I wanted to read this, because there's some real gems in there, and this is someone with an incredible history in aviation. Kobus, thanks so much for doing this. I think the entire aviation community, especially GA in South Africa, really needs to thank you for your inputs. Tell us where we're going. What's the background? What's your idea with this Safety First Aviator campaign?
Good evening, Frans. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, thanks. That bio is so long because I'm so old. Nothing else to get. Some good news. Lauren said she's Wi-Fi is back just for the panel.
Great.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the launch of the Safety First Aviation campaign. Like I said, it's not my vision. I'm just part of a team, passionate team. Nice to work with them. And this is for 2020, perhaps going into 2021 as well. We'll have to see. So a huge thank you to one and all involved making this possible. It's a lot of names, so in due time we will acknowledge everybody. But thanks so much. It's absolutely a pleasure to be with you guys. In human factors, we usually start with the why we do things, and then we say, what do we do? And then we end up with how we're going to do it. So let me kick off with that. Why we do what we do. Now, firstly, if you look at the team, and that's just a small part of the team, we all believe in aviation safety for one and all, and we're passionate about aircraft accident prevention. So we are all volunteers. So if that doesn't sum it up, then I don't know. Thanks, Frans. You can just leave it right there. That's good. Thank you very much. So that's why we do it. We're passionate. We love what we do. I'm sure everybody is tuned in tonight, share the same belief. Otherwise, you would have been watching the soap piece or something else, sitting at the braai. So thanks for tuning in. during and even after COVID-19 or Corona, lockdown, rehabilitation, call it what you want, aviation has been hit hard, and the immediate future is not one of sunny sky Chevrolet, but we will bright. So how are we going to do it? Similar to the previous campaigns, by promoting aviation safety as wide as possible throughout the whole industry, where and whenever we can, and by any medium. You can see already in a new medium is Zooming. And this includes all types of pilots, the chopper guys, the fixed wings, jets, the balloon pilots, Anko, for you as well, ATC, maintenance, ATOs, management, and even the regulator. We're going to involve them all. So what are we going to do? We're starting tonight with the launch of the Safety First for 2020. And the theme for the campaign tonight, you'll see the prop clear. For those who fly prop clear, it just means we're ready to start engines, ready to start flying. And that's where the idea came. So we're ready to go back to flying. And that is what we're going to try and do. So after a long, unusual and devastating delay, we're ready to go. In the past, we conducted roadshows to different flying clubs and flight training schools, and which was very pleasant. Really, it was such fun, but costly, and it usually only attracted those who were interested already. The converted, as we call them, the safe people out there. So we weren't reaching the people we really want to reach. But anyway, we won't give up. So we might still continue with roadshows in due time, but we've been forced now to do webinars. This is the first time for Safety First to do this. So thanks again. And then we'll be inviting throughout the year, we're inviting focus groups within the industries throughout the country. So if your department, ATO, AMO, ATCs, if you're interested, just drop us a line and we'll get contact and in hold of you, and we start doing our presentations. This year we also want to focus on the less interested, the non-converted people. I'm not saying the unsafe people. If you look quickly at the history of the Aviator Safety Campaign, and thanks for Aero Club to put that up for us. The initiative came into reality in 2013, already following a string of accidents that were more related to pilots' attitude, general airmanship, or the lack thereof, and failures than poor training or mechanical type failures. So the Aero Club, along with some industry partners, decided that some sort of intervention must happen. And they took the challenge upon themselves to spear the campaign and drive it with a brand. The initial campaign started with the production of video targeting the low flight without pre-checking the terrain. I'm just checking my notes so I don't miss anything. Remember the Scud runners, and followed by a 12-point credo signed by numerous pilots at the time. And this is still available at the Aero Club. Some of the points included ownership. And if I can just maybe a little bit of time with that, I acknowledge that safety starts with myself. That was number one. Number two is I will display good airmanship. So it's I, me, myself, and I take ownership for safety. So apart from the roadshows, a number of posters, stickers, and CDs were produced with various safety messages. I still have one of my CDs. Here it is. If you can see it, doesn't matter. There's some of the CDs on the screen. And that really went throughout the country. I still have my Safety First sticker on the bucket as well. So themes as hello summer, and it's all about you evolved in time, and so too more and more stakeholders started joining the team. In 2016, you see the Know Your Spots. That's when Kevin's story pulled me in as well. So Alpa became involved. The next one is your approach in 2017, your approach to safety. Incidentally, this is the shirt, the branding I'm talking about. Purple is not really my color, but for your approach, that was the color. Normalization of deviance followed in 2018. And I remember, I'm sure you all know, Mark Lottering always says that in South Africa, a red robot is a mere suggestion, meaning that we're so used to doing the wrong things that it's become the norm. Then we jumped to airmanship in 2019. Remember KSA, knowledge, skills, attitude. And then 2020, prop clear. So I hope that puts everything into context. And we hope soon that we can come and talk safety over at least a braai and a hot dog and a cold one. But until due time, so we'll be doing webinars. So next slide, thanks Frans. Next slide, we start with support. Where do our support come from? Frans, if you can give us that one, thank you very much. Those are some of the companies, people that have started supporting us, and some have come, some have gone. are gone. But for this year, we really got, I'll go through it very quickly if you don't know all of them. There's Aero Club, CAA, SASAR, Zankies, Alpa, Pilot Insurance, France, CASA, HNS, Weather Services, Pilots Post, Comair, EAA, Mayday, and Century Avionics. So if anybody is interested in supporting us, I'm not only talking about financially, sharing what we want to do to spread the word, please drop us a line. I know the Human Factor Hub has already spoken with me, and they're very keen to jump in and help out as well. And we will take it from there. Thank you, Franz. So now, what is the new normal? Everybody's talking about the new normal. So what has changed? Lauren said even the weather has changed. Thanks for the video. Well, I'm not sure the sound has come through to everybody. Anyway, France, doesn't matter. What we'll do is I'll just quickly, oh, there it is coming through now.
I'm working from home today.
Yeah, so pilots working from home. I hope that is not going to happen. I mean, what can go wrong? Sorry about the sound. So thanks. So the new normal. Now, what has changed? So next one, thanks, France. So many things have changed. And I think it's also a good thing to sit back and maybe make your own list and think things that have changed in your domain. And let's think about aviation and safety. For instance, if I think outside safety, even my bakkie now is getting a whole week on a liter of fuel. I mean, things have just changed drastically. Thanks, next one. So everything is different. We haven't flown in a long time. Some of us haven't even started flying. So for the lucky ones to fly, remember there's also the Rusty Pilot campaign from Aero Club. It's a nice wording, Rusty Pilot. We don't fly normally as much as usual. So a lot of things changed. We have a lot of our minds. Now, if it's stop at this point very quick, there's so many things. Apart from COVID, where are we going? What must I do? Then just when you think you got it all sorted out, then there's load shedding. And then you must listen for that guy that speaks on the TV that says with an immediate effect. I mean, there was a rush to the stores again on Monday. And so there are a lot of things that's on our minds. Then, thank you. The environment has changed as well. Thanks, France. For instance, I've seen so many videos where you see kudus and things roaming in the domestic area. Can you imagine the airfield? It's been open and free for the animals, the birds, and the wildlife. So if you start flying now, you're most probably going to meet some of those people out there, some of those wildlife out there, hopefully not people as well. I think the biggest problem at the moment is perhaps the psychological effect, if I can pronounce it, from COVID. It's maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll, Damon most probably will speak more about it, but it's something that I don't think we know that the full extent of that as yet. Morale, job losses. There's so many of my friends sitting at home, don't have a job, don't have a pay. I mean, that's just in the aviation industry. So the way we communicate, yeah, we're Zooming. We used to have a Brian talk over a hammy and a cold one, but we can't do that anymore. Well, not for the time being. So hopefully soon we will be able to do that. We're social creatures, so the social distancing is not natural. And obviously, like I say, something's got to give. Now, if you look at that slide, you go out there and you most probably recognize the runway. If you do, you're in the wrong place. It's only MacGyver that can fly there. And you might even see the aircraft has changed. So this is just in jest, but there's so many things that have changed and we have to manage that change. Thanks, Franz. So that word, resilience. I always thought it's something to do with Richelieu, but then I said, no, you have Richelieu if you're not resilient. So it's a topic that's getting a lot of airtime as lockdown continues and challenges persist in the face of coronavirus and many other challenges as well. Resilience is often defined as the ability to recover from difficulties. I must find my notes here so I don't make a mistake, but it can also be capacity to cope with and adapt to challenging circumstances. So how do we adapt to change? I mean, so many things have changed. How are we going to do it differently? What are we going to do to keep it safe out there? Mental toughness is another one. Relates to how people deal with challenges, pressures, and stress. How do we adapt to change? Okay, and that stress factor, we'll get back to that. So what are we going to do to stay safe? So during the Prop Clear campaign, we would like to zoom in and focus on that word resilience. at every level of the aviation industry, not only on what is happening in the cockpit, but everywhere the ATOs, the AMOs, and see how we can share ideas, come up with new initiatives and things to do in the very near future. And if there's one thing I already learned, is whatever you go and do it slowly. A good friend of mine always says, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. So taxiing out, take some time, don't rush it, because we're all, most of us, rusty pilots by now. Well, in a quick session, I hope I've put a bit more light about and what you can expect from the aviation or the Safety First campaign in the years to come. So if there are any questions, please, next slide if there is one. Thanks, Frans. We will do it during the Q&A session following all the sessions. So please, everybody, let's go out there and make a difference. Let's support each other. Don't try and do it on your own. And stay tuned. And let us keep it safe out there. Thank you, Frans. And thank you, everybody.
Absolutely. Thanks, Cobus. Okay, great. So that gives us also a bit of an idea and a feel of the history and the background and where we're heading. I just wanted to maybe just jump in and ask you a question. Generally, what we find with these kind of webinars is everyone takes a little bit of time to warm up, and then towards the end we field all the questions. So in between, I'll ask one or two questions, just to keep the conversation going, and then please, guys, go nuts in the chat bar. Ask us questions. Doesn't matter if it's relevant or irrelevant. At least we've got someone to talk to. Okay, so Cobus, I think just on the word resilience. You know, what do you think would be the biggest risk factor? You know, are we talking stresses, changes, uncertainty, you know, from the human performance side? What can you already see happening?
I think Frans has mentioned, if I say the word stress, then somebody can ask me, can you be more vague, please? But the bottom line is, through all the uncertainty, the changes and challenges, it always brings an amount of stress. And we all know that stress and flying doesn't go well together. Damon might be able to show us, or maybe go through what he's already experienced during the COVID period. But this uncertainty, I think, is killing everybody. I'm retired now, but there's certainly, I've got a son here that sits, he's a flying instructor with 0 flying instruction hours. I mean, that alone, I feel stressed for him. Pilots want to fly, and they're not going to fly. Carl, there's another one. SAA guys, SACS guys, and it's not only the airlines. I mean, where are they sitting? So I think that's most probably going to be the biggest, already is the biggest concern.
No, exactly. I mean, that's why I was so super excited to hear that Damon was going to be on tonight, you know, from Mayday SA, just to get the word out that there are guys willing to help, you know, completely anonymously. But let me not do his presentation for him.
Let's not stress as well, yeah.
Yeah. So no pressure, Damon, no pressure. Thanks, Cobus. I think that's brilliant. Let's hope we can catch up to you a bit later in the Q&A session again. Thank you very much, Cobus. Okay, so next up we've got Carl. So Carl, Ifalpa SA chairman, is that right? President. Oh, excuse me, that was a big mistake. So, Mr. President, I believe, I mean, you've also, it's a bit daunting starting with you and Cobus, actually, because you guys are such serious aviators your entire lives. You know, you guys have been involved in the top echelons of aviation forever. So it's really like we've got the big boys in the club, you know, and I don't know what I did right to get a seat here, but something I did right. I think my previous life. Okay, cool. So I believe you qualified with your SAF wings in '83, and your postings included 42 Squadron in the Bosbok, the Harvards, the 182s, B-58s, 172s, and then 41 Squadron with the Cessna 208s, and then joined Comair in 1993, moved to SAA in September 2000, and like you said, the Ifalpa SA president and Ifalpa RVP AFI South region. That's quite a mouthful. So where do you, as Ifalpa, you know, how do you guys fit in with the whole roadshow that we're doing and safety? And what is it that you guys want to be a part of?
Oh, thanks, Frans. Hello, everybody, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here. Welcome. Yeah, from Ifalpa, if you look at the, I'll get to that later, but if you look at the Ifalpa and the Ifalpa mission, we strive for the highest level of safety worldwide throughout the whole industry. And that's just for our members and basically everybody out there. And that's you know, as you mentioned, we live for aviation, and we're there to make sure that the sky is safe, the airports are safe. You know, Ifalpa has trade union status, but as I mentioned later, you know, what's the use of flying the best equipment, having the greatest salary, and the skies aren't safe and the airports aren't safe?
Absolutely.
So that is, yeah, that's where we come in, and we are 100% committed to making sure that we strive for the highest level of safety throughout the industry.
Brilliant.
So yeah, let's look. What is Ifalpa, the International Federation of Airline Pilots? Based in Montreal, in fact, within walking distance of ICAO, which is nice. It's the global voice of pilots, whereas Ifalpa South Africa, I'd like to see it as the national voice of pilots. Ifalpa represents 100,000 pilots in nearly 100 countries. So just after after ICAO was established after World War II, pilots around the world wanted to provide their perspective in the creation of international aviation policy. You can't blame them. You know, who wants to jam students shouldn't be in charge. So Ifalpa was established in 1948 and has a permanent seat at the ICAO Air Navigation Council. So Ifalpa influences ICAO from ground level through involvement in ICAO panels, working groups, task forces, all the way through to the SOPs, the standard and recommended practices. So nearly all the ICAO annexes have been influenced to some extent by an Ifalpa pilot representative. So the work is mostly done at standing committee level, which I will come to a little bit later. As I mentioned, Ifalpa South Africa is one of the national member associations. We joined Ifalpa in 1968. At that stage, Ifalpa was still known as SAPA, but in 1994, Ifalpa was established when the late Judge Cecil Margot recommended to SAPA that they should become the national voice of professional pilots in South Africa and not just South African Airways. So then SAPA became a branch of Ifalpa, the same as the Comair Pilots Association, the Airlink Pilots Association, SACS, and the Mango Pilots Association are all members of Ifalpa. Now, Ifalpa members are highly respected by our Ifalpa colleagues. Incidentally, the first Southern African to receive the Ifalpa Scroll of Merit was a Captain McAfee from Rhodesia, still back in 1970. And between 1977 and 2009, there were 6 South Africans who received the Ifalpa Scroll of Merit. In 2008, Trevor Arnold received one of the Ifalpa highest recognitions, the Polaris Award for airmanship for his superb handling of the nationwide 737 accident in Cape Town in November 2007. Frans, if you can go back, just back one slide there to the Ifalpa mission. Here we go. Is to promote the highest level of aviation safety worldwide and to be the global advocate of the piloting profession, providing representation, services, and support to both our members and the aviation industry. I mentioned the work is done at the standing committee level. Committee members are all Ifalpa pilots, members who are subject matter experts in their particular fields. So there are 10 standing committees, ARP, Accident Analysis and Prevention, Aircraft Design and Operation, Aerodrome and Ground Environment, AGE, Air Traffic Services, Dangerous Goods, Helicopter, yes, we look after them as well, Human Performance, HUPA, Legal, Professional and Government Affairs, Security, and then Admin, Membership and Finance. Now, each national member association also has the same standing committees, but just in a smaller format. I'm just going to talk about the three most active ones at ALPA, and those are ARP, HUPA, and AGE. So the ARP committee, you've already met Kobus, he's our chairman. The AAP members are all accredited Ifalpa accident investigators, a worthy course represented by the top NTSB investigators. So in addition, the AAP committee ensures that a safety investigation results in the development of prevention strategies that contribute to improved levels of safety. Also, we look at the accident reports must comply with ICAO Annex 13. Other hot topics for the AAP committee is the establishment of an independent accident investigation board. Yeah, so ICAO Annex 13 states that the state shall establish an accident investigating authority that is independent from the state aviation authorities. Well, watch this space. So another hot topic is the use of cockpit voice recorders. Once again, ICAO Annex 13 states that states shall take measures to ensure that the audio content of cockpit voice recorders are not disclosed to the public. The purpose of an investigation is purely to prevent an accident from happening. And also the purpose of the recordings is purely for the accident investigation. So the next slide, please, France. So the HUPA committee. The HUPA committee provides pilots' perspective in three principal areas: aviation medicine, training and licensing, and human factors. The hot topics are, as you can see from my slide here, is fatigue, mental health, effects of laser strikes, cosmic radiation, and lately cabin air quality. Mostly airline things, but yeah, certainly, well, anybody can experience a laser strike. So on the local front, 2016, ALPA tabled the proposal to CARCOM to amend the flight and duty limitations. This is a very exciting project involving Rhodes University. See, one of the biggest problems with our current flight and duty limitation is that it is not science-based, and that is a ICAO recommendation. It's also based on its pre-low-cost carrier. So yeah, it's an ongoing project. It's as I said, we tabled this in 2016, but it's a big project, and hopefully the CA has really bought into this, and one day when it is completed, I think it will be we'll have one of the better, or not either, one of the best flight and duty schemes in the world. We also have a very good relationship with the CA medical section with Dr. Lobatsu. Regarding mental health, ALPA is very involved with a Mayday, but Damon will talk to you about that a little bit later. Just to give you an example how Ifalpa influences ICAO, I don't know if you can remember the German wings accident in France in March 2015. So after the accident, regulators like EASA and the FAA insisted that mental health assessment for pilots should be done during routine medical checks. And Ifalpa was super critical about this. You know, because you can, it's not very objective. You can go to one psychologist, he says, are you good to fly? And the other one says, man, you shouldn't even come near a wheelbarrow, let alone an aeroplane. So Ifalpa recommendation was that in order to address this, we should look at pilot support programs. And that was eventually accepted by ICAO and the regulators. And as a matter of fact, a year or two, it was a year ago, ALPA made another proposal to the CARCOM committee regarding peer support programs. The next slide, please. the AGE committee provides a pilot viewpoint of all areas relating to airports. As you know, runway incursions and runway excursions top the list of threats to the industry. So hot topics include runway signage. I got the same picture as Querbus here. I don't know, I'm sure you can see the mistake on this one slide here. And those are the things we look out for. Runway signage, runway lighting, runway conditions, such as heavy rubber deposits in the touchdown zone, bird hazards, and some airports, believe it or not, human and animal traffic. So if you look at a hotspot is designed as a location on an airport movement area with a history of potential risks of collision or incursion. And that has definitely got to do a lot with the design of the airport. You know, the ideal runway actually will have no crossing runways. The taxiways will actually go all the way around the airport. But yeah, try and convince the airport authority that. ALPA members also serve on the local runway safety teams at major airports in South Africa, addressing all these issues. So, as I mentioned, ALPA is very proud to be a part of the Safety First drive. It is our mission to promote the highest level of safety and support both our members and the industry. Now, as I said, you can fly the best equipment for the best salary, but if it's unsafe out there, it becomes a race to the bottom.
Absolutely.
And I just
cool, thanks.
Following words, you're as good as you are trained.
Here we go. Now, and it's quite funny. We've actually had a couple in the comments about that 37. So, I mean, if you're an aviator and you don't spot that, maybe some ground school there. Carl, thank you very much. So, I mean, there's so many organizations out there. There are so many different fractions and guys looking at different areas within the aviation sector. What would you say would be an example of what Ifalpa has, actually done for pilots? And maybe in the same breath, what ALPA, what benefit there is for pilots in South Africa to be a part of ALPA? How does that work?
Well, as I said, be very involved particularly with ICAO. And I think a good example would be when ICAO and IATA and industry was pushing for RVSM, reduced vertical separation. It started in the North Atlantic, then Europe, and then they wanted to introduce it into Africa. And then Ifalpa said, no ways. Because at that stage, the target level of safety was 25 times 10 to the minus 9. The accepted ICAO level is 5. So it was 5 times higher. So the chance of ending up in a smoking hole somewhere was pretty high. So Ifalpa said, there's no ways we can accept this. And so they got involved with, it's almost what we still do today, but today is the TAG, the Tactical Action Group, which almost identifies threats on the continent in the AFI region. And then we get together, it's a monthly seminar, or monthly webinar, I suppose, and we address these issues so they could be fast-tracked. And with that, the big thing with those people have flown in Africa, even but certainly 20 years ago, 15 years ago, it was mostly South Africans who identified the threats of the lack of communication on the continent. And they brought that to the attention of Ifalpa, which then pressurized ICAO. And yeah, we're slowly getting there. Things certainly have improved. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, as they say, never rush the goalie. So that was one of the things. Other things, mostly airline stuff. I did touch upon Annex 13, which is, as you know, as pilots, the ICAO annexes. That's our Bible. And the state, ICAO says the state shall, and then they better get their act together, otherwise they might get a finding. But yeah, so the big issue is there is back to Annex 13 is cockpit voice recorders. Actually, some accident investigators are now pressing for cockpit image recorders. And then Ifalpa is dead against this because apart from the fact that it infringes on your personal thing, the flight data recorders they're so effective that just by looking at that, you can actually determine almost what happened in the accident. So the question is very debatable whether a image recorder will actually improve the accident investigation. Certainly, I can imagine the CNN and those likes, they would love to get their hands on that kind of stuff. So that's another threat. And yeah, so the list continues. From a local point of view, I mentioned the runway safety teams who will be involved on. We've got a very good relationship with the CAA. We got representation on the Aero medical panel. I mentioned good comms with the CAA regarding licensing within medical. And we also sit on the industry liaison forum with the Airlines Association, the Commercial Aviation Association. Hey, without Alpa's input, there will be no safety and security such as laser attacks, unruly passengers, criminal prosecutions. Hey, that's another thing. Without Ifalpa, there would be your accident investigation will run parallel to the criminal investigation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
okay, well, I think that's some...
the airline guys, the jump seat policy. We have a mutual jump seat policy between the airlines.
Yeah, no, but I think that's great clarity. You know, I think a lot of people don't get to actually ask that question. Just help me understand what's actually going on and what the different role players are. So yeah, that's great to hear. I mean, maybe I was a bit selfish in that question, but I really wanted to know, exactly how it fits together. Carl, again, thank you so much for your time. It's amazing to have guys like you on board with these, with these events or webinars or seminars or safety campaigns that we do, because it's really that kind of input and experience, that keeps guys safe. So thank you very much, Carl. Appreciate it. Well done.
It's aviation. It's we're one big family, and we have to look after ourselves. We have to look after one another.
100%. 100%. Thanks, Carl. Okay, guys. So next up, Saiki White. I don't think Saiki needs too much introduction from the guys that have been around, especially the GA section for a while, because somewhere along the line, Saito Arends uitgekak. And you remembered it. So Saiki, I'm just joking. Saiki is probably one of the nicest people in the aviation industry. Easy to talk to. Also, a lifetime really of experience in search and rescue. So Saiki is the lady that's going to head up the search team that's going to come find you next to the side of the mountain and pull you out and save your life. And I promise you it's true, because I had just a little bit of a personal story. I had a little minor incident with a mountain about 6 years ago. And before I got out of the cockpit, she'd already phoned me. So if you want to tell me about ELTs working or not working, there's 100% proof that they work. And they had us out of there within 15 minutes. So Saiki, thank you very much. I think if you want to give yourself a little bit better of an introduction to than that, you're more than welcome to. But Saiki is pretty much the person that's going to save you when you really need it the most. And she heads up that whole search and rescue department. Saiki, thanks a lot for joining us. I look forward to hearing, your involvement and where we're going with all of these.
Good evening, everybody. And once again, it's such an honor to be with you. For me, the safety campaign has been forever. I was part from the very first campaign we were running. Don't even know how long ago that was. So it's still an honor to be with you, and I really, really appreciate. There's not much to say. My job is to join hands so others may live. And I will do it until I die, I think. I was thinking of retiring, but I don't think that's going to happen soon. You're just far too special. Next slide, please, Frans. Okay, so SASA is the South African Search and Rescue Organization. And as I said before, our motto is joining hands so others may live. Next slide, please. What drives our mandate? And Carl was talking about ICAO Annex 13, also important to us, but our annex is ICAO Annex 12. We also comply with ICAO AMSOL Volumes 1 to 3, the South African Maritime and Aeronautical Search and Rescue Act 44 of 2002 as amended, the South African Aeronautical Maritime Regulations of 2016, our SASA Policy Manual, our ARCC and MRCC plans, our MOUs between the Department of Transport, which is the custodian of search and rescue in South Africa, SASA and the search and rescue units, and obviously bilateral agreements between the states, because we can't work in isolation. We need to help each other. Next slide, please. How do we drive our mandate? And people probably always think that because we're not out there all the time, and I don't like being out there all the time, guys. I want you to fly safe. I don't want to pick you up against mountains. But in South Africa, the Minister of Transport is the custodian of search and rescue. And that is just a short slide, and people can look at it afterwards, how our policies are made and how we do what we do. So we've got our, the Minister of Transport and his DGs. And then we've got our SASA Executive Committee, and they are the policy makers. So the Executive Committee consists of everybody that's got an interest in search and rescue, and not only an interest in search and rescue, but also people who can actually add value to the operation. Then we've got our inspectorate, we've got a management committee, we've got our aeronautical and maritime sections, and that is the big wheel. Next slide, please. What do we do? My Aeronautical Rescue Coordination Center is responsible for coordinating search and rescue operations for missing aircraft, forced landings and aircraft crashes within the aeronautical search and rescue region under the South African jurisdiction. And we also are alerted of all aircraft with in-flight emergencies, for which we will monitor the progress and action with relevant search and rescue responses where required. A small story with that. The other night we had an airliner with a problem, and sometimes the problem is so that you're not sure, are they going to make OR-TAMBO? Are they going to make it back? So my job is to actually sit and work out plans for if they don't make OR-TAMBO. How are we going to do a mass rescue operation? So those plans are all in place. So sometimes pilots, when you shout Mayday, there's a reason that you do it, because then my wheels go into action, and we make a plan for in case you do not make the airfield that you are going to. We make plans for other airfields, maybe, and I mean with airliners, it's not an easy job because there's not a lot of landing strips where we can put airliners down. But all sorts of emergency response goes into the plans when you shout Mayday or Pan. So please don't stop doing that, because that's the first thing that says to us, you need our help. Next slide, please. Where do we do it? That's an interesting one. Okay, people, I mean, if you look at that slide, it's a very, very, very big area of responsibility. It includes South Africa, landmass. Can we just go back, please? The South African landmass, Namibia, Swaziland, Lesotho. It goes all the way to the South Pole, halfway to South America and halfway to Australia. So anybody flying there and it's got an in-flight emergency goes down there, the responsibility will be asked to do the search and rescue operation, people. But we also understand that unless we have those members of those memorandums of understanding between the states, if I do something down at the South Pole, there are a lot of other countries that's much closer than I am that can actually help with the rescue operation. So that's why those bilateral agreements are so incredibly important, so that we can do the best. I hope it never happens, but if it does, we will have a plan in place. Next slide, please. Our service providers, and you know, sometimes when I look at this, although we've got a lot of state institutions and commercial volunteers, there's also a lot of volunteers that does it out of the goodness of their hearts. They don't get paid for it, but they are the real people that's going to come and help when we need them. You know, I'm looking at the Mountain Club of South Africa. We're looking at Hamnet. We're looking at off-road rescue units. We're looking at the NSRI, K9 Search and Rescue, Ground SAW. If we look at those people, those are the people that we call because they are the specialists. Let's look at Hamnet, for example. You can establish comms with Hamnet so easily. It's so easy. So guys, these are the people that actually, when I phone them, no matter what time of day or night, They jump into action and they do what they need to do. Next slide, please, Franz. Why do we do it? The way we do it is just so that when we get to an accident of an aircraft in trouble, we will send the right resources to go and rescue. And that's important. The sooner we know what's going on, the sooner we know what's happened, we can make sure that the right resource gets to the accident scene to effect a rescue, number one. Number two, to preserve the scene so that the Annex 13 people can actually go and make a picture of what happened. People, why are we investigating accidents? We can't change the accident. It happened. But if we have a good investigation, we are stopping it from happening to anybody else. And that's why we have accident investigations. So I'm begging everybody, please, you are not doing anybody a favor by running to an accident scene and, you know, running into it and doing all sorts of things. We can't do that. We need to make sure that we have a, we need to make sure that we take care of the people and save their lives, because that's why we are here, joining hands so others may live. Next one. So these phones are on 24/7, 365. If you ever need us, we are there for you. You are very, very loved by a very small ARCC team, but we will do everything in our power to make sure that you don't lose your life. Thanks for the opportunity again.
Baie dankie, Saintjie. Thank you very much. So just net vinnig, just quickly tell us. So you get a Mayday call. What's the first two things you do?
Well, first of all, we establish who, you know, where the person is, and the next one is what the intentions are. Okay. And then we make a plan from there. Because, you know, and that's just another war story, and I don't want to do the war stories, but when we look at the Sims accident in Mozambique, when he shouted Mayday and he said he's going to divert to Beira, nobody ever asked him, you know, where are you? Where are you diverting from? What was his position? And that made it a lot more difficult to actually have the arcs, flying the arcs of where he could have been when he was in trouble. So, yeah, where are you and what's your intentions? We can work from there.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Well, I mean, for me, it's definitely a massive relief to know that you've got my back when I go flying. If there's any trouble, Tannie Saintjie is going to sort me out. I just need a call, make a call. Guys, that number you see on there, take a screenshot, quickly grab a piece of pen and paper, write that number down. That could be one of the most important numbers you'll ever phone in your life. So that's the number when you phone when you're really in trouble and you need help. Am I right, Saintjie?
Yes.
Okay, 100%. Take that number down, guys. That's probably the best thing that you could do from a safety point of view. Thank you, Saintjie. We'll chat to you soon.
Thank you.
Guys, so we've been referring to Mayday SA quite a bit. Thanks, David. Guys, I see David LaRue has typed those numbers into the chat box, so a bit easier if you're on your phone or on your PC just to copy paste it over. You guys have been hearing us talking about Mayday SA quite a bit. Mayday SA has sent over David Brown for us to give us an introduction about Mayday SA and what they do. Again, just from a personal point of view, the same accident I was referring to earlier that I was involved in, you know, never mind that Saintjie was on top of it immediately and I had communication. I'm not lying to you, probably 2 minutes after the accident actually happened. A week later, I started getting phone calls from aviators that I've never heard from in my life. And the phone calls were about support. How can we support you mentally through this? And for me, it was quite tricky because I had a bit of a mental block for about, you know, two to 3 weeks, I'd say, where I would relive, you know, that image of the mountain and trying to make the decision and where you want to go. So it ended up that the Mayday SA guys had heard about it and they started you know, offering me all this kind of support, and, you know, let's go for coffee, let's discuss it, let's get you through it, let's get you, you know, mentally okay to fly again and stable. I didn't really need the mentally okay to fly again and stable, because I think the very next day or 2 days later, we got into a Bonnie VTOL and did the race for rhinos in Botswana. So I didn't really need all that much time to conquer the fears. But Damon, you're going to chat to us all about Meta SA, what you guys do, what your job is, and how you guys are involved with us. Damon, thanks very much for taking the time to chat to us. I know you've been involved in aviation since 1999, more or less, with 12 years of instruction before switching to the airlines. You got an ATP, 7,200 hours of flying, mostly in Africa. And you've been part of Meta SA since 2014. Yeah, look forward to hearing all about this.
Thanks, Franz. Meta SA, in a nutshell, we are a pilot peer support program. We are all volunteers. Most of the guys have some form of aviation background, whether it's from private pilot's license, glider pilots, airline pilots, based in GA airlines. And we have got a couple of very, very hardworking psychologists also in the organization who help us with all our training and laying a very solid foundation for us to be able to give support to pilots. And what we offer is just emotional support to pilots after accident, incident, life event. Obviously at the moment, with what's been happening in the last 6 months in aviation, everyone's, well, there's very, very few people in aviation in South Africa or the world who've been left unscathed by what's going on here. And we've been involved with our guys typing up articles on how to cope with the current situation. And the articles are available on our website. I'll give the details for the website and Facebook page and contact numbers just now. But we're here just to support pilots. We're all like-minded aviators. So if you pick up the phone and need to speak to someone, you're speaking to someone who's in the industry, who understands and who can be empathetic to what you're going through. We are supported by a lot of companies and stuff, but we don't answer to any companies. We purely independent, 100% confidential. We don't report to anyone. And yeah, we were around offering support prior to this COVID. And at the moment now, just the need for emotional support is increasing. We're going to have a hard time with guys going back into the industry. Guys have been grounded for a long time and rusty. And the flying training, we're all very capable. Everyone's been through a sim, everyone's done the training. We'll get back into it and be able to fly again. It's going to be climbing the emotional ladder and the psychological ladder and making sure that we're 100% ready and safe to get back into an aircraft and do what we love doing and what we're passionate about. And, you know, like Carl said, we here, the industry, we're here to help each other and to support each other. And it's at the moment now, which is when we need support the most. And if people want to pick up the phone and have a conversation or chat or just offload a bit rather than putting more pressure on their families and stuff, we are here to talk. And, you know, being physically isolated doesn't mean you need to be emotionally isolated.
Yeah, Damon, 100%. And I think that's what I really love about the whole Meta SA approach. You know, it feels to me almost like it's like you have your very best friend at the other side of the line, but you actually have never met them before.
Yeah, we here, as I say, we're all like-minded aviators. We're all passionate about flying. We're here to help all pilots. I mean, we'll even help Airbus pilots. So we're like-minded.
Not those guys, please.
You know, And yeah, we're here to help and support everyone who we can. As I say, these are trying times, and emotional support is very important at the moment, and as it will be going forward for the next, or for the foreseeable future. Eventually aviation will recover, and we will all, or most of us will get back into aircraft and carry on doing what we love, but it's a little bit of a road ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And what would you say, you know, we've spoken about the stress factors, and you know, we've touched a whole bunch of these points already. But from MEDA SA's point of view, what would you say has been, you know, the leading conversation, or the leading, you know, maybe one or two things, if you can maybe quickly touch on it, of what guys are actually reaching out for help with, you know, even if they seem obvious? I'd really like to know.
Yeah, look, obviously industry uncertainty. Everyone, myself included, you know, we've been on a career roller coaster for the since the 26th of March, or slightly before that. So industry uncertainty is a very difficult one. A lot of guys have been sitting with an axe hanging over their head, not knowing whether they're going to be employed, whether they're going to fly again, whether companies are going to survive this. And, you know, that's been very difficult for a lot of guys. And as I said, it will continue for a while to be difficult. But I'm hoping that we're through the worst of it, and that it's all, might be a very gradual uphill, but it is hopefully an uphill from here.
Yeah, I think so. I'd hope so. I mean, I've been lucky enough to, you know, fly airline quite a bit in the last few weeks, you know, ever since it was really possible. And I can tell you just from my personal experience, there's definitely an uptick in packs, and there's definitely an uptick in movement at the airfields. So I think the positive signs, you're right, the positive signs are all around us. But it's just, you know, helping the guys that have been hurt the most, you know, helping everyone through this and see the light, and focused on the positives. You know, for us, I mean, just to give my insight into that as well, you know, with our fairly big investment and insurance business, we obviously seeing that firsthand as well, because we specialize. Our clients are all aircrew, you know, so we see it directly what's going on, and I'm just talking just from a financial impact, and it's very real, you know. So I love the idea that you guys are there, and that you can help guys through this. So, you know, just thank you very much for the work that you guys do. I mean, I've seen it firsthand, the kind of help and support that you offer. And I think this is probably what you'd say anyway, but please, guys, if you are going through any kind of struggle, you know, emotionally, and you just need someone to reach out to, MEDA SA is there. They won't cost you a cent. There's zero judgment. And it's all about figuring out what the best solutions are. And they're proper professionals in the field. I don't know what your structure really looks like at the moment, Damon, but I know you guys definitely are, you know, have communication. So all kinds of psychiatrists, psychologists, I mean, obviously if it's needed, but really just, you know, ear to bounce ideas off of.
Yeah, I'll just say we've got a sounding board. It's just somebody to talk to outside. Try and get yourselves back into a positive mind space. As we are pilots and peer support, we aren't psychologists, but you know, if there are problems that are beyond our scope, we do say we have excellent psychologists in our network, but guys sort of guide us, and there's always you can always refer people to them if necessary. But a lot of the time, it's just, you know, all we need to do is have a conversation, or, you know, just talk a bit. It's the hardest part is picking up the phone and calling. Once you've made that contact, things get much easier. And, you know, as I say, we're in a difficult space at the moment, but hopefully the way through, and we are here to support people who need it.
Brilliant. Excellent job. Thank you very much, Damon. You guys are invaluable, you know, to probably a couple of hundred people's lives already. So it's definitely something. Maybe I said that we're going to, from the pilot insure side, we definitely would love to reach out to you guys and see how we can't work together a bit more, you know, and just be a little bit more supportive towards your organization. Guys, what we've done is we've gone and we've typed in the Mayday SA's number for you on the chat box. Again, I'd say just as important, in some cases more important than Sanki's number. Save that number and reach out when you guys need it. Damon, thank you so much. I look forward to doing the following presentations with you and really getting in depth and getting to know Mayday SA a bit better going forward. Thanks, Damon.
It's a pleasure. Me, I'll try to make aviation safer. We'd rather you call us and you don't need to ever call Sanki.
Absolutely. Yeah, the one leads into the other very, very often.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. So guys, reach out, ask for help before you need Sanki's help. You know, no one really wants to talk to Sanki. Okay, so finally, except for the beauty of Sanki, we've got Lauren Smith, Weather SA, going to chat to us about the weather. And Lauren, I think what would be really nice is if you give us just maybe a short little background of yourself, how you involved. I know the first time I met you was, I think, 2 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago at one of the air races. And we were very impressed by your presentation on the weather, because obviously in a race, it's super important, you know, that 1 or 2 knots, that 100 foot higher or 100 foot lower can make the difference between you actually winning the race or getting dead stone last. No, you won't get dead stone last. Those guys get lost all the time. But you know what I mean. It'll lose you 15 positions at least. Lauren, who are you? Where do you fit in? And then let's hear what you have to say about all of this.
Oh, thanks, Franz, and everyone. Actually, I'm always very happy to be part of this campaign from the beginning. And yes, we did meet, I think it is about 3 years ago at that race. What an experience it was, and I was very happy to be able to help. Yeah, so I've been forecasting about, this is my 4th year. One of my very passions is aviation. I'm qualified in forecasting for public as well as for the marine sector as well. But as I've said, I'm very passionate about the aviation industry. Yeah, so I'd like to talk to you obviously about the weather and yeah, so the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties and toughness is resilience. And in the little experience that I've had with you guys, it comes to my attention that it's something that you guys are required to have automatically, and some of you don't even know that, especially when it comes to weather. So unfortunately, we've come to a standstill, not only as a nation, but worldwide. And there's one thing that didn't, and that's the weather. Even though there was time periods that the pollution was a little bit less, unfortunately, the amount of energy that is in the atmosphere is still there. So it might be a little bit soothing to hear that it's the only constant, it is change, but we do find ourselves in a continuously changing and developing atmosphere. And that's your playground as a pilot, and it is a little bit unpredictable. So you should rather go through a little bit of a recap on the little things that you as a pilot needs to know and remember about the weather. So I'd like to go into some weather hazards, but here's a short clip first, just to spark some, juices flowing of what would you do to get yourself out of this situation. You can play.
The sky is overcast and the visibility poor. That reported 8-kilometer visibility looks more like 3, and you can't judge the height of the cloud. Your altimeter says you're at 1,500 feet, but your map tells you there's local terrain as high as 1,200 feet. There might even be a tower nearby, because you're not sure just how far off course you are. But you've flown into worse weather than this, so you press on. You find yourself unconsciously easing back just a bit on the controls to clear those none-too-imaginary towers. With no warning, you're in the zone. You peer so hard into the milky white mist that your eyes hurt. You fight the feeling in your stomach. You swallow, only to find your mouth dry. Now you realize you should have waited for better weather. The meeting was important, but not that important. Somewhere a voice is saying, you should have turned back. You now have 178 seconds to live. Your aircraft feels on an even keel, but your compass turns slowly. You push your rudder pedal and add pressure to the controls to stop the turn, but this feels unnatural, so you quickly return the controls to their original position. That feels better, but now your compass is turning a little faster and your airspeed is increasing slightly. You scan your instrument panel for help, but you don't find any. It all looks unfamiliar. You're sure this is just a bad spot. You'll break out in a few minutes, but you don't have a few minutes. You now have 100 seconds to live. You glance at your altimeter and are shocked to see it unwinding. You're already down to 1,200 feet. Instinctively, you pull back on the controls, but the altimeter still unwinds. The engine is into the red, and the airspeed's almost there too. You have 45 seconds to live. Now you're sweating and shaking. There must be something wrong with the controls. Pulling back only moves that airspeed indicator deep into the red. You can hear the wind tearing at the aircraft. You have 10 seconds to live. Suddenly, you see the ground. The trees rush up at you. You can see the horizon if you turn your head far enough, but it's at an unusual angle. You're almost inverted. You open your mouth to scream.
So not to scare the new student pilots that is in our audience, but this is quite important, the weather. And I know it's something very easily and quickly overseen. So I'd like to touch more on not only the scene hazards, such as our long-awaited CVs. As we are going into summer, Charlie Bravos should start developing again, especially over the interior. And they umbrella all the hazards. Moderate to severe icing, you've got your large to small hail, your moderate to severe turbulence, poor visibility, your lightning, downdrafts, sometimes more known as your microbursts, light to heavy precipitation, and then tornadoes, which in a personal manner is now becoming a lot more relevant to South Africa, maybe due to more of the media coverage now that the tornado spottings are more now being recorded. But I'd like to go in depth into more of the unseen, which is turbulence. So we've got 6 types, and how would you not only recover from the seen hazards, how do you recover from the unseen? So we can go to the next slide. So we've got those 6 types. So we've got the wake vortex turbulence, a low-level wind shear, our mountain waves, low-level jets, as well as your turbulence due to the development of convection, not only all the way to your mature stage, and then also CAT. So I'm going to go through in depth, touch on how they develop, as well as maybe possible defenses or recovery maneuvers that we can expect. Then we can go to the next slide, and I would like to then end off when we do our big campaign, an overbrief of our resources that are available to you. One is the South African Weather Service Aviation website, where all our products get posted. All you need to do is register, and it is for free. I'll go through the tabs, go through some very interesting data displays, just a recap on how to read them, more interpreted, and where they come from. For those of you that do know this website, the model that is run, that it uses the data from, is a 4-kilometer resolution model. If you don't understand that, if we think of a camera, we think of pixels, the higher the number, the better the resolution and detail of your photograph. Now in modeling, the weather is just swapped around. So the smaller the number, the better. And then also which other resources are available. One that is being used quite frequently or more vastly by the industry is Windy TV, which is a very nice display. It displays 2 types of models, which is the European Climate Center for Medium Weather Forecasting, that's ECMWF, as well as our GFS, so it's Global Forecasting System model. So ECMWF is a 16-kilometer resolution model, and then the global model is 28 resolution. So we're going to go into those 2 just to recap on how to interpret them. I'm going to highlight some flaws out of them both so that you just can use these things at the best of your capacity. And some updates also that Windy has gone under. For example, they've got a new satellite tab as well, which is pretty cool. So you can overlay your satellite image over your data, which is very, very nice to be able to see where your clouds are regarding your wind speeds and your wind direction and where you want to then navigate. Yeah, so that's all from me. I hope to be able to see all of you again in the big campaign. Yeah, thanks for your time.
Lauren, great stuff. Thank you very much. And we definitely look forward to seeing you, hopefully sooner than later face-to-face at some aviation events, eh?
Yes.
Okay. Lauren, so just, I mean, the only thing I can really think of is, you know, almost tying into what everyone's saying, getting back into flying, getting back into the air, you know, maybe flying for the guys that have been flying at maybe 10, 20% capacity, going full steam. Looking at, I'd say, the next 2 to 3 months, are there any specific weather anomalies that just happens every year over the next 2-3 months in certain areas of the country that we should just focus on a little bit more?
Yes, actually, especially there up in the northeastern parts, more central east of the country. We are in the month of August, so the August winds have started already blowing, and that's due to a very tight gradient. So we're going into what we call transition season. So that's the spring season, and the models struggle. So they're trying to dissolve summer and winter weather systems. And because our country is where it is on the globe, we have to deal with both of these type of weather systems at the same time. So I'd say to keep a lookout on where your surface trough is placed, because you want to look out for turbulence, for clear air turbulence, because we don't have enough moisture yet coming down from the tropics. It's slowly pulling down, so you're starting to get some more energy into our atmosphere, more buoyancy is going to start happening, so you're going to get more towering queues and nice fair weather queues start developing. And we tend to forget that they too have hazards around them, which is your thermals. Don't underestimate a thermal, especially here from about 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Gets quite bumpy out there. And then along with these tight pressure gradients that will cause gusting winds. You'll have nice breeze, but when you start flying at certain flight levels, that's when your gusts will start picking up, and it will go easily from a 5 knot to a 25, 30 knot wind. So I'd look out for the in-between weather.
Yes.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Okay, Lauren, thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you in on the next one.
Yes, of course.
Okay, all the best. Ciao. Neil De Lange is up next, and Neil is the General Aviation at SACAA. Neil, I've had the privilege of speaking to Neil quite a lot over the last few months. But I can tell you, out of all the jobs in aviation, Neil's probably the one job that I would absolutely never want to have. I mean, they could pay me all the money. They could give me the best house, 7 Lamborghinis and a Toyota Prado, and I still wouldn't do it. Neil, thanks very much for joining us. You've definitely been through a lot in the last couple of months, and I love the fact that you guys aren't, especially you aren't hiding behind the scenes. You're out there willing to join us on all these webinars, willing to really reach out and tell people exactly what's going on from the CAA's point of view. And I think we all really appreciate that open, clear communication. And you here also to tell us about your brand new GA safety strategy and what we can expect there. So Neil, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks, Frans. Yeah, I think I really appreciate having been invited and included in your session today. Mine is just a short note to invite everybody to the official launch. I just want to sneak preview. I don't know if
there you go.
You can maybe just show us the invitation. I think it should be.
Neil, we're having some issues with your voice. I think you also have some connection issues. So do you maybe want to just, I don't know, do you have like a spot in your house that you get the absolute best signal from, or did the cat knock over the Wi-Fi router, or somewhere that you can just move for a millisecond away, and let's see if we can get your voice a bit better. So what this is, guys, I'm just going to jump in quickly while Neil quickly sees if we can move around a little bit. So the CAA has come up with their new safety strategy. I, for one, am definitely looking forward to the ideas that they have to keep us all safer. And I'm also really glad that it's coming from the CAA. It means that they're not these guys in the glass building throwing bricks, and that they actually want to be properly involved in creating a much better safety culture. Now, maybe I'm naive because I think aviation has quite a safe culture, but I suppose I'm naive just because I'm so involved with all the aviation safety things. But it's really a massive positive, I think, and I think we can all share this sentiment, at least, is that the CAA is putting their hand up and saying, guys, we want to be more involved. We want to help safety and promote safety. So for me, I really want to just congratulate the CAA, because I know, and most of the panelists know the kind of work and time and dedication that goes into putting these kind of things together. And Neil, shall we try again? Sounds like a no. Don't know if you guys heard that. I think it sounds like a no. Okay, so I think we've Neil Piper. Can you see if Neil's still on? Neil De Lange is still on.
He is trying to reconnect. So maybe what we should do now is just go to a few questions.
100%.
And then we can get back to this.
100%. That's
Perfect.
exactly what we do. Yeah. Okay. So while we wait for Neil De Lange to reconnect, I think let's jump into the Q&A section directly. We're not going to take a break this time, as is per custom to my other webinars, just because we're running out of time. So I've got a bunch of questions here, and because we're not having a break, I haven't had too much time to sift through them. So panelists, everyone listen. I'm going to be, I'll ask the question, and then if you think it's fitting for you to jump in and say something about it, absolutely go for it. If 2 or 3 people have a different opinion of it or something they want to say, please don't let me interrupt you. If you want to discuss whatever the topic is or the answer is, absolutely go for it. So the first one, just remember to unmute yourself before you start talking, because I think we've all had the mute button on for so long. Okay, so the first one is from Wally Waldeck. Hey Wally, nice to hear from you. So I said, good evening guys, thanks for setting this up. Might be worth discussing where the airline business is going to find themselves when the COVID debacle is finally over. With my 60th generation colleagues unlikely to re-enter the airline industry, and many airline pilots in their 30s, 40s, and 50s likely to find a living outside of aviation, they will likely be discouraged by this experience, and many won't re-enter aviation. This will likely translate to severe pilot shortage in 4 to 5 years. Therefore, I see tremendous opportunity for pilots in the following 5 to 6 years. Is that a possible midterm consequence of COVID? What are your views on this? Regards, Wally. Anyone want to, because from where I'm sitting, it's all really speculation at the moment. But if any of you guys, I don't know, Cole, maybe you have got a little bit of insight into that?
Yeah, it's not really, sort of, if you look, it actually sort of, it follows a curve, but this is a really bad dip here. So it will, by all indications, it's going to take up to 3 years for passenger figures to pick up to 2019 levels. But we all love aviation. If it's your dream, you must follow it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of, I think, everyone's thinking right now is more or less a 3-year time frame, unless there's a COVID 2.2 that we don't know about yet, which again, Damon, I think is leaning into the fears, and the unknowns. But is this kind of, Damon, maybe I'll ask you, is this kind of the thinking, the general thinking out there that, the guys, I almost want to say you are 50 years old and, you might as well not wait for the retrenchment letter. You might as well just resign and get it over with because you're not going to fly in anyway.
Yeah, look, it's difficult to say. I think, and it is all speculation. We don't know. Aviation follows this parabolic path that's up and down. I mean, they've been talking about pilot shortages since like 1903 when the Wright brothers first flew.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, even in 1903, there was a oversupply of pilots because there was 2 pilots and only 1 airplane. Every time it starts looking like this pilot shortage is coming, something just knocks aviation back a bit.
Oh.
The market does recover. With regards to the guys that are in their 50s, it's really going to come down to whether they've just had enough and they've now in their 3rd or 4th or 5th sort of setback in their careers. They've just decided to throw in the towel. And look, the guys that really love it are going to carry on, keep trying. From a personal point of view, I'm not quite ready to chuck in the towel with aviation yet. But yeah, we'll see what comes in the next few years. But yeah, probably in the next 3-4 years, they're going to start talking about a pilot package.
Yeah, I think we definitely in our business seeing the same thing, because we obviously having this conversation every single day because it's a financial conversation more than anything else, right? I mean, anyone except for the 0.001%ers, if you are 4, 5, 6 months without a salary, hey, you've got to change some things, but so I think what we're busy doing, and this is kind of what I just, maybe leads into everything because this is a general question, kind of a general conversation, is that it's really important for the guys to sit and do those numbers, and talk to someone about those numbers. And if it is you guys at Mayday, if it is, professionals in the field like us, just talk to someone about it. Look at your options, before making, I'd say, harsh decisions or overreacting. I mean, some guys we talk to in their 50s, and you know what? They come to us and they say, I'm stressed out, I'm panicked, nothing's going to work out. We pull everything we've got, we crunch the numbers, and we're like, you know what? You're actually going to be okay. Don't stress about it. So it's not always as doom and gloom as everyone thinks it is. Any more inputs into that question, guys?
I think if I answer now, the question will be, can you be more vague, please? Yeah, uncertainty. I think COVID is one thing, our economy is another thing. So that's what I can say.
Yeah,
but we've survived many things, and that's why we've got resilience, and we have to really dig in deep. It's not the end, for sure.
Yeah.
Alles sal regkom. We just don't know when.
Yeah. I got another one here, just a quick one from Johan de Plessis. Johan, you're 100% right, and I apologize if we are making you think that we're only focusing on pilots. I mean, I think we're talking about the entire aviation community as a whole. Everyone involved in aviation, and everything we're talking about is definitely accessible, and we are all open to discussing. Mayday SA is open to discuss with anyone. We definitely open to discuss all these options with anyone. So Johan de Plessis is saying a lot of focus is placed on pilots, on all these discussions. Pilots and engineers, frontline aviators is important and generate the income. But what about the rest of the aviation personnel who's currently also experiencing stress, etc. during these times? Mistakes on their side could also have disastrous consequences. What focus will be placed on them? Yeah, so that's just why I led with that. So this is definitely open to everyone, and we are generalizing really with everything we do. Absolutely, the guy working on my airplane, the AMO, I would hope that he's 100% focused at the task at hand and continues his level of professionalism that I know we've definitely become accustomed to. Just having such amazing, crew and ground crew, etc. Okay, let's look at another one here.
Can I quick comment on that, Frans?
Yes, Kobus, yes.
Like I mentioned in the beginning, please, Johan, send us your details and stuff for an invite, and we can run the show for you or your ATO or whatever. But 100%, we really would like to reach out for all pilots and everybody in the, I say again, all pilots, not only all pilots, but everybody in the industry, please.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to say this again. I think we're all probably so tired of hearing it, but it's the truth. We are absolutely all in this together. Like there's no hierarchy. There is no one guy is more important than the rest or better than that's a level playing field. Okay, so I've got a question here from Craig Wood. Craig, I recognize you. I think you've been in one of our previous webinars as well. Okay, so Craig, financially, how are the organizations represented here coping? So I saw MEDA, SFA Aero Club, ALPA, SSCAA, Pilot Insurer. Are any bordering on failure? And if so, how can we help each other? So I can just obviously talk from my point of view. So our business, Pilot Insurer, we've definitely, had a big knock with these times. I mean, all our clients are aviation crew, and with the guys not earning salaries, obviously they can't, fund their investments anymore, and they can't fund their insurances anymore, and all these type of things that would normally be just a normal necessity. So we've definitely felt the brunt of it. Luckily enough, we are, a very stable business, and we've been running for a number of years to allow ourselves enough of a buffer to get through all of this. I mean, we haven't had to let go of any staff whatsoever. In fact, two of my guys have got raises in this time, and we've employed 4 new people. So I think from our point of view, how you can help, obviously reach out to us and just see how we can help you. So it's like a reverse thing. I don't know if you guys want to jump in with, you know, I know the Aero Club guys, definitely membership is very important there. That's the only reason how, you know, Aero Club actually gets an income to be able to do all of the presentations and all of the road shows and all of that. So that's very membership driven. Do you guys, maybe Mayday SA, how, you know, how are you guys doing? Is there any way that you can be helped?
Yeah, look, we are a non-profit organization. The training does cost us. We don't charge anyone for our services, or if they call us, everyone's a volunteer. If we do training, there isn't a cost to that. And unfortunately, it is quite expensive, and we always looking for funding. And any help we can get, which effectively isn't helping us, it's helping the industry. The channel to do it through. So, yeah,
and how can we, I mean, how can we reach out to you guys if we say, you know what, this could be a nice tax write-off for my business, we're actually doing okay, we'd like to, you know, support you guys with 2,000 or 3,000 rand, or 200,000 or 300,000 rand. How do we actually do that?
Preferably the latter. Yeah, we can post the details. There is a link on the website. Should still be up there to contact us to make donations.
And what's your website?
It's somebody did post it there. It's www.mayday-sa.org.za.
Okay, brilliant. So that's the way. Any of the other orgs want to chip in there?
From the ALPA side, because of no one's been receiving any salaries, or very limited for that matter. ALPA has had taken no membership fees since April, and we had to do some very creative accounting. But unfortunately, we had to retrench 2 of our permanent staff members. I had a very exciting meeting earlier this week, and yeah, there's some. We certainly have to look at changing our constitution. But we've always, it's always, I mean, our constitution is probably it's probably about 30 years old, so it's due for a change. But we're looking at some very exciting things, particularly for membership fees, which will benefit the members. But as I've always been saying, ALPA is the national voice of pilots. As long as I'm around, in fact, as long as I'm alive, there will always be an ALPA. That voice will never go quiet.
Okay, brilliant. So also obviously very membership driven. Okay, so I hope, Greg, that answers your question. Excuse me. Okay, to Sainky from Anastasia. Anastasia wants to find out how she can volunteer to help you guys, Sainky.
Hey, Frans, if I can come in there quickly. Sainky had to leave us, unfortunately, due to work. So she asked, please, any questions if we could relate to her. I think, well, thanks for the assistance. I'm sure Sainky will be glad to hear from her.
Yeah, so Anastasia, I think what would be the best is if you send your contact details to myself. So if you go, if you send me a direct message on here, I'll get that over to Sainky to reach out to you. Okay, then something amazing happened. Hugo du Plessis, he actually made a bit of a pledge to us guys for this our Safety First Aviator campaign, and he's got an auditorium that can take 100 to 120 packs, available at no charge for this campaign in Sunninghill. So that's quite lekker. We're definitely gonna keep that top of mind. You know, as soon as we start doing events again, and we can definitely reach out and chat to you and see, you know, obviously how we can maybe help benefit your business through that as well. But Hugo, thank you very much. That's really amazing. Okay, so Athol asks if Rob wants to say something. Rob, you're welcome to chip in if you have anything particular you'd like to say. Rob Jonkers. No, Rob's not on anymore. Okay. I should have looked at that before asking that question. Okay. So we'll get to, there's a couple of these questions that are already questions that we'll discuss, as a panel to see how we can build into this. Brian Rosevier asks, oh, Neil is back. Okay, great. Neil De Lange, you back?
I am indeed, thank you.
Sorry, I've actually had 2 or 3 messages from guys saying, please shut up, let's just get Neil to talk.
I actually, Franz, just want to get those 6 Ferraris. That's all I'm back for.
Yeah, we can talk about it. Eh?
Yeah, we've got witnesses now.
It's all hypothetical.
Yeah, thanks, Franz. I think maybe we can just quickly have a chat about that invitation. It's not going to be long. I think the important thing is I just wanted to give a little bit of background. Many of these excellent safety initiatives have taken shape in the past, like the Safety First Aviator campaign. We've had the General Aviation Safety Initiative, GAZI, at one stage. This cross-functional accident reduction plan and many other industry-driven initiatives. And the CIA gets invited to attend and support these initiatives. We gladly do so, but we currently don't have a strategic position on how to address or improve safety and the reduction of accidents in the general aviation sector. So we haven't really solidified a strategy as regards the Civil Aviation Authority's support to these initiatives. And so to this end, the CIA has embarked on a consultative process last year, both publicly and internally, and we've identified areas where we could add value and ultimately reduce accidents in the general aviation sector, and perhaps at the same time to develop the industry. So basically three core items that came out of our consultative sessions was that, we need a multifaceted, multidisciplinary and integrated effort from everybody in our industry. And secondly, we need an all-out sustained and concerted effort supported with the necessary resources and buy-in from all the stakeholders. And that's why it's so heartwarming to be part of your panel tonight. And then thirdly, stakeholders would cooperate. This is what came out of a lot of the external consultative. They're looking at the CAA to be a flag carrier and assist in this regard. So the end of March this year, just before COVID, the Civil Aviation Authority Executive and the DCA approved the proposed safety strategy, and it took effect on the 1st of April 2020. So the first few months was spent on planning, and the official launch is taking place via webinar on the 11th of September. And so during this launch, we will give a bit more detail on the methodology and the background, and we'll share the various outputs, which is really the exciting part of this strategy, as well as the implementation plan. And this is going to be a 5-year plan, and we will reconsider some of the items in the 3rd year. So what we've decided to do with this launch is to have some panel discussions and Q&As to keep it interesting, because there's so much detail in this that we would like to just share the highlight stuff, and you can hear that we're very excited and enthusiastic about the project, and we hope to have a similarly excited audience. For this webinar, there's no pre-registrations required. The official invite will be available from tomorrow. We'll circularize that out. And then on the invite that you'll be receiving, you can click for the detail for joining the webinar. So without letting out the cat out of the bag, let's diarize the 11th at 10 a.m. And yeah, let's take it from there and hope we can have as many attendees as possible. We're really excited about this project. Thank you, Franz, and thanks for having us.
Neil, you're very welcome, and I'm super excited. And like I said, I don't know if you heard it when you jumped off. Like, I'm just super stoked that the CAA is doing something and lending their voice in such a positive way. I think it's brilliant, and I think we all think it's long overdue, but it's really a positive step that it's actually happening. So thank you very much for driving that for us on that side. And this in between everything else that you've had to deal with for the last couple of months, I think it's very special. So Neil De Lange from the General Aviation at CAA. Neil, thank you very much for joining us, sharing this with us, guys. Remember to look out for that. I'm sure, Neil, you guys will be sharing this all over the show, all over aviation. Everywhere. So I'm sure if you follow some sort of an aviation Facebook page, you'll see it again. And we'll definitely make a point of, posting it and marketing it from our side as well.
Thank you. Thanks, Frans.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Cobus, did you want to say something?
Yeah, if I may, sorry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just something that's brought to my attention by my old good friend, dear friend, Captain Carl Jensen and David Leroux, is that something that we need to do in the campaign, but we should do it in our everyday lives, and is this: let us not discourage any aspirant aviators. Let's tell all that when the recovery takes place in the foreseeable future, there will be great need for aviators and pilots. I think my son would love to hear that as well. So thanks, Carl. It's a very, very, very valid point. We need to stay positive. Resilience means if you're not positive, resilience is not going to come to you. So I just wanted to mention that. Thanks so much.
Yeah. No, Cobus, absolutely. And, I'm so positive about it. And I like always when we talk about things to give like practical examples. Like, I'm so positive that we're going to have a massive V curve in all of this, which, we all know what a V curve means. It just means we're going to just jump straight back up. Is that we've literally just gotten 4 new guys in our business, brand new spanking, because I'm expecting a lot of positive things to happen very quickly. And, if there's an industry that can pick itself up after such a big drop, I think aviation is the industry that can show the world, and that can bounce back faster than anything else. So yeah, I'm super positive about that. Guys, we are like an hour over the time we were supposed to take with this. And I think that's amazing. I mean, that's great. That just means that we actually have something real to say. I loved everyone's quick introductions. I hope everyone listening, watching, has got a very good idea of where we actually want to be going with this present, with our safety campaign. The idea with this was an introduction to everyone, was an introduction to where we're going, how we're going to be doing things in the future. Again, just Aero South Africa, guys, thanks for hosting us, having us part of your launch. Again, I'm just going to remind everyone, have a look out for their marketplace. If you're an aviation company, aviation business, you absolutely have to be there. It's definitely going to be one of the big things going forward for us as aviation business to communicate and talk to each other with our own little special space to market and chat to each other without the outside noise that isn't aviation. Because we're so special as aviators. Like, we deserve our own little spot, Neil, I am going to hand over to you, Neil Piper. Thanks again for having us. I think this is amazing. Thanks to all the panelists. Thanks for everyone watching. This is really amazing. We'll keep in contact with you and let you know when our next ones are. But from my side, over and out. Thank you very much, guys.
Frans, thank you so much for that. You're a wonderful host. You kept us all entertained. We were watching you eating your nuts there. It was quite cool to see. Yeah, just on behalf of Aero South Africa, just thank you to everybody for joining the session today. We hope that you found it beneficial. For me, I've learned a lot about the industry today, so thank you to all the speakers, to Frans and the team behind the scenes. A very big thank you for all your efforts. And then please look out for our next webinar. We'll be sharing those details soon, and join us then. Thank you, everybody, and take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.